Good morning. We are ready to get started. A little late, I know. I want to welcome both my city council colleagues on the Neighborhood Services and Education Committee and my supervisor colleagues from the Children, Seniors, and Families Committee. Also, welcome to staff, members of the public, and the Blue Zones team. Thanks for coming. As you know, we have a Blue Zones Readiness Assessment presentation today on the draft report, which is grounded in the goals that were outlined in the city's Children and Youth Services Master Plan. And this draft report has been a collaborative project with both the city and the county, as well as Adobe, the Santa Clara Family Health Plan, and the Health Trust. We also got some additional support from the San Jose Sharks and J-Lore Winery when we had our In-Community Week at the beginning of June. So we will be providing feedback today on Blue Zone's preliminary recommendations, which they will be presenting. And of course, this is all aimed at well-being in city districts 5 and 7. There are specific zip codes that they have taken a deep dive into. And with that, I want to pass it over to Supervisor Chavez, who has served as a key sponsor to this project. Would you like to say a few words, Cindy? But there you go.
There you go. Really just to say good morning. I'm very excited and want to dive right in. I know it's a lot of data and information, and just want to say appreciation for all the staff, both your staff and the county and the city working together, and our personal staffs working together, just to say thank you, thank you, thank you, and let's roll.
Okay, great. With that, will the clerk please call the roll?
Candelas, Torres, Duan,
Here.
Vice Chair Ortiz,
Present.
Chair Davis.
Here.
Thank you.
And from the County Vice Chairperson Readiness.
Here.
And County Chairperson Chavez.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our presenters today are Margaret Brown, our Vice President of Development for Blue Zones, Mark Ishikawa, the Vice President of Operations for Blue Zones, and Jacqueline Chavez, the Director of Policy and Partnerships. Margaret, will you be kicking it off?
I will. Thank you. Thank you all for having us here today. This is really exciting culmination of 9 months of work. We kicked this process off in January of last year. I want to first give a shout out to everyone from the city and the county who have leaned in this process with us, who have spent time on the phone with us, who have spent time in focused interviews and conversations, and also to the more than 200 community citizens that have shown up to represent their areas of the city, to share a little bit more about their community, and to really help us understand not only what's most important to them, but what's the experience that they have today. And so for that, thank you all so much for the support, and we believe this has been a really successful process. And so we're looking forward to sharing this information today. We're going to go through a couple of things here today. I do want to pause for a second, and many of you have heard this before. The purpose of Blue Zones is really to empower everyone everywhere to live longer, better. And we're so grounded in that purpose, and I hope that in your experience of meeting the Blue Zones team, as we've been on site or been on the phone or had an opportunity to engage with you, that's come across really clearly, and that our main goal and objective is to apply that purpose here alongside you as partners in San Jose. Because this is a PDF, we don't have the slides building, so they kind of just pop up. So I just want to share a moment of where we are in this process. I've already mentioned we kicked this off in January through months of planning together with a team that was put together through Dev and Cindy to support the process. We were able to build, the event process, the engagement process, making sure that we had all the right stakeholders, culminating in the on-site time that happened in early June. Since then, we have been putting together the report, continuing some level of engagement interviews, data gathering, et cetera. And then we're here today to provide this initial draft report readout. We will have a subsequent one on October 22nd, which will be the final report. From here, there is a period of time once we deliver the final report from which the community and your collaborative cross-sector stakeholders will have an opportunity to decide, is Blue Zones right for me? Is this the direction that we want to take San Jose? Is this right for the community? Are our values aligned? Do we have a partnership that could work? And likewise, from the Blue Zone side, we want to ensure that there's the ability for success here, that we know based on the data that we apply, that we can make sure to have the impact, that we know it will work. And so that's kind of the phase that we're in right now, and we'll make that kind of mutual final decision sometime in January. And the point there is just, we don't want to waste anyone's time. If this is not going to work, we want to know, and if it is going to work, we want to know. And if we think it will work, and if the partnership is there, then we'll want to focus on moving it forward. So that kind of gets at the readiness and feasibility portion of that. On the screen, you'll see the Blue Zones team and the subject matter experts that have been working alongside San Jose. Many of these are behind the scenes, and many of them were in person. So you've either met them on the phone or you've seen them in person here in the community. But all of them have helped make this process run as smoothly as it could. I've already talked a little bit about the community engagement. You know, the keynote that we had at Sharks Ice, we had more than 130 people attend. That is an in-person. Have convened more than 50 individuals or leaders through one-on-one discussions, et cetera. And then we've had more than 100, I would say likely much more than that, in focus groups and in-depth interviews. I am next going to turn it over to Jacqueline to talk a little bit more about policy, and then we're going to take time at the end of each section. So at the end of policy, we're going to pause and have some questions, at the end of people, and then at the end of places. Before we dive in, I just want to remind you all that this is a summary kind of highlight of the report. The report itself has been made available in a draft format. We are finalizing that report, and the new version will be out by October 2nd. And it is much more in depth. It covers these items in great detail. So if you've not had a chance to review that draft, please do take that chance and provide even more feedback. And with that, I'll pass it to Jacqueline.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Hi, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Cheeves, former Bay Area resident and current resident of a Blue Zones community that has been there for about 14 years, so it's good to be back. And we were here in June and got to talk with a lot of you, so thank you for your support. And we also got to drive, walk, we got to bike a little bit and scooter around. So it's good to take all of this data that we've collected from hundreds of voices and now put it into some goals and strengths and challenges and opportunities for you to talk through. So I'll start with the built environment. What I mean by built environment are the human-made spaces. So we're looking at sidewalks, trails, parks, roads, and how do we connect people with each other, and how are they able to move naturally and align with our Blue Zones principles. And as a part of that, we're looking at the policy approach. Is there political leadership in San Jose? Are you ready to take this on? Is the community excited? Are there influencers ready to build this work? Are they at this stage where they see the value of what we're doing? Skip past that. So with the built environment, I'll start off with strengths. Lots of strengths in San Jose. You have a lot going on here, the city of innovation. We saw that throughout with your infrastructure. You have a lot of bicycle infrastructure. I saw some, dads dressed for work with their kid on the back biking to work this morning on my way over here. No parking minimums, that's huge. That's very forward thinking. Area partnerships are in place. Again, you gather a lot of data. We read through a lot of plans. And you have some really forward-thinking policies in place around ADUs, which is going to help with your housing policy. Micromobility is in place. And you have the Children and Youth Services Master Plan to guide you throughout all of this to make sure that it aligns with the Blue Zones principles, making sure that we are increasing the housing options is one of our goals. With the built environment, making sure that we're promoting natural movement. People can walk everywhere. They're walking to school. They're walking to where they work. Making sure that we have social gathering places and making sure that we have neighborhoods who are connected. So we found a lot of strengths within just who is involved. People are at the table, they're talking about this, they're excited. And we also heard some challenges and opportunities. So with that, the perceived safety is top of mind for a lot of your residents, as well as climate change factors and just a lot of underutilized spaces that have a lot of potential. Some of the pace of project approval could be streamlined. And so with that and the history of sprawl that tends to keep us socially isolated, we saw some opportunities. Where can we come in and align with what you're already doing and build upon to expedite that process, to take some of those quick build projects? I saw a lot of bollards in place. That's a great quick build that you do really well at. Build upon things like that, make sure it's equitable. This is being done in East San Jose. So what we see downtown, the west side, we see in 5 and 7. That kids who are able to walk to school are able to walk to school everywhere. That they can cross the street and not be afraid of being hit by a car. We get to that vision 0. So with that, how could this work? Now, this is just one example. So again, we will go deeper dive when we do a later Blue Zones initiative into a discovery. We'll work with you on how to operationalize this. But what we could do is use the results of your survey going out right now through Walk Safe San Jose to identify the delivery of the quick build projects that you have prioritized and see where around schools and parks in the focus areas we could align and help promote that. And assist you in identifying additional locations to expedite the delivery of these projects. And we also help in just the branding, I think, of Blue Zones helps the eyesight of getting additional funding through grants and other sources, which is a huge power of ours. Another example, we saw a lot of parks. So thank you to Parks and Rec for taking us around for an entire day so we could see 5 and 7. And what we saw was just some areas to improve and maintain the Parks and Rec outlets. We know this is an issue across a lot of cities. It's not easy to keep up with that. But we saw with the amenities that we could expand the options for that based upon the area residents' needs and wants. And we are already working with a national organization that you're working with that is in San Jose over the next year, Trust for Public Land, looking at the same thing. So I think a lot of us are aligned in wanting to prioritize the amenities in the Parks and Rec that are desired by residents, addressing safety concerns, and partnering with those who are already at play to bring more attention to it. Okay, now moving on to food, one of the favorite topics to talk about. Strengths. Well, you were built upon orchards here in San Jose. It's changed a little bit over time, but we still have a lot of fruit trees here. And we grow a lot of food, but can people afford it? We heard that a lot. One quote that stood out to me was actually from Supervisor Chavez. I think you were our first interview, and you said people had more access to liquor on the east side than fresh bread. And we all wrote that down at the same time and thought, and we saw that and we heard that, so it was affirmed in that, you know, it's hard when there's food right there, but people can't access it. So while we have a lot of strengths around the Cesar Chavez movement, around a community that self-organizes around food, collaborates, proudly celebrates food culture, the diversity of options here, you have an amazing partner with Vegilution, and you have the county with Casey Hill leading your plan, deeply engaged higher ed institutions, and that continuing ag heritage. So really, really strong food systems that we saw in the organization there. You could continue to use your planning and zoning tools to support healthy food access. And we heard things like from Vice Mayor Rosemary Kamai saying, I want a community garden in every park or a school garden at every school. That's a strength of Blue Zones. I live in a place where that does happen. And together we take the people, the volunteers from Blue Zones with the kids in the schools, with the parents to make sure there's a garden at every school, not just those who can afford it. And so with that, we could expand it to include parks and rec and underutilized vacant lots to have other opportunities for people to grow their own food and have access to healthy options. So just one option. Again, there's many that we can look at. You know, again, innovative concepts like agrihood when you're building new housing developments, making sure there's space to grow your own food. Anything like exploring zoning changes so we can look at where there's Excessive number of fast food retailers. We saw that a lot in 5 and 7 compared to some other areas, that people are going to eat what is there. And if they don't have access to a lot of healthy food, then that is what they're going to consume. So making sure that we have equity there with access. And I can skip past that one, but we can refocus also a San Jose food policy coordinating group, like a food policy council here locally, is another option we could look at. Well, we have an amazing coordinating body at the county level, using that to funnel it and narrow it into the city group as well. And Blue Zones does that throughout many cities. We have helped form food policy councils by facilitating that planning process and guiding that with you. All right, tobacco and vaping. So we changed it. We used to say tobacco, and now we have vaping because we know we've shifted the type of products and the audiences who are using these products over time to have more of a focus on vaping, which we found in San Jose. Strengths. Like in the state, here in the city, you have very progressive policies in place and at the county level. Tobacco prevention funding is really strong. You have all of that in place. You have an amazing technical assistance provider network at the county public health level. It's obvious that you all are invested in the future of children and youth, and this is, the audience being marketed by tobacco companies. But you have coalition and partnerships in place across the Bay Area. You have healthcare providers who are at the ready with quit tobacco resources. And one I want to call out too is LGBTQ equity is at the forefront, so you have your partners aware and involved in that way because it's another audience who is affected by predatory marketing. And you have a pretty good grade with the state of tobacco control compared to a lot of cities that we see. But an area that we saw was empowering our youth advocates in this way and building upon what you already have in place to help them keep advancing policies to tighten up some loopholes that we did find. And so through that, you could partner with youth-centered organizations to bolster the advocacy and job skills training. Sometimes the youth voice is a little bit stronger than the public health voice when we're used to hearing from the same people, and then you put youth in front of an audience and say, hey, I was able to get a pack of cigarettes at a Walgreens. Why can I go to a place to get medication where I'm also getting my vape pen? And that can advance policy a little bit easier sometimes than those who are used to speaking. And providing youth with that purpose. That's part of the Children and Youth Services Master Plan and a part of the Blue Zones model. All right, last but not least is alcohol policy. And again, the strengths here, a lot of data-driven decision-making. You have the younger generation that's coming up that wants more social gathering places with non-alcoholic options. You have funding for alcohol prevention programming, and again, that commitment to improving well-being for children and youth. And some well-funded screening and treatment services, as well as some supportive housing programs. But what we saw when we were out was a difference in the areas of what retailers were there. So we saw an excess of alcohol retailers in the east side versus other areas, same with tobacco retailers. And so this is just an area that we have worked with other Blue Zones communities on establishing policies to reduce alcohol outlet density and partner that with a healthy retail model and work with the retailers. That is something that our teams do. We go in and talk with them about how they could sell different products rather than just tobacco and alcohol, but have some healthy options in their communities. So those are just some ways that it could work, such as a cap and winnow approach to reduce the number of retailers, and again, changing the look and feel. And we've seen that connected with safety as well, the number of alcohol retailers, so we can improve in that area as well.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Before we take questions on policy, I just want to call out a couple of things. One, the amazing youth commissioners that you have as part of your government model here is not something that we see in every community. And I would say that in every conversation that we have with the youth commissioners, they really spoke to some of these things in a very direct way, the way that they experience their communities and how it shows up in these areas of policy, from things like having memories as children and going to parks, and now that's not accessible, whether it's from a real threat of physical safety or a perceived threat of physical safety. or it's just simply a barrier to access because of the built environment. They really spoke to that. And to me, it struck me that someone who is between the ages of 17 and 19 can so clearly articulate and advocate for the things that they see actually deteriorating before their eyes, and they're so young and they've experienced that deterioration. The other area that we heard them speak directly about is the shift in the availability of food within their environments, and sharing memories of growing up with their grandmothers, going to the market and buying fresh, foods to prep for dinner, and not having that available immediately in their district any longer really spoke to us and highlighted exactly what was seen through the policy expert lens as they're going in and they're just doing the look and the conversations and the interviews from the professional level, to see that show up in comments from people as young as 17 years old is really quite remarkable. And then I also want to highlight, when we're talking about policy especially, and you'll hear this come through again in the places and the people, but when we're looking at the strategic priority areas of the Children and Youth Services Master Plan, we're looking at things like housing, access, and security. So even though we didn't highlight housing here today, it is captured in the report, and the importance of that for youth to grow up with that availability of access, but not only to grow up with that, but to be able to stay here, to build their lives here, to create generational impact here is really important. The idea of safe, clean, and connected environments, I think that came through very clearly. Meaningful and sustaining jobs, that we'll get to that through some of the worksite engagement opportunities, but also systems transformation at the city level of San Jose that's going to have a direct impact on the east side. And some of these recommended approaches are certainly there, as well as the health and mental wellness. And so those are just some things I wanted to call out as that direct alignment. So we're talking at a high level, but with an underpinning of understanding where those goals are for the Children and Youth Services Master Plan. And with that, I want to take any questions that you may have on the policy section that we just covered.
Do my colleagues have any questions on this section? We'll have a broader discussion, obviously. Sylvia, that's okay.
It's the button on the right.
Actually, this is a new one. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry if you want to. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for the presentation. I have a couple of questions. One of which is, because I was a council member, I understand intimately some of the challenges that we all have in engaging our community. And one of the concerns I've expressed over the years is how we engage our community, because we need to meet them where they're at. And so I did see that you had, I think, 280 folks that you engaged with focus groups, individual presentations, and so my question is, what is the standard of engagement for a city of this size?
Yeah, we appreciate that question, and I'm going to answer part of that, and then I'll also share with Mark, ask Mark to share as we think about, as you go deeper into the process. So when we're here at this period, we're looking at a assessment and feasibility study. We're typically engaging frontline leaders and I would say representatives of communities. Oftentimes we stop short of broad community engagement for the express purpose of not wanting to perpetuate overstudying, under-delivering promises. And so, it's important that you glean the information necessary to put together a thoughtful model, but only when the partnerships have stacked hands and said, this is the direction we want to go, are we then willing to do very deep engagement with a broader aspect of the community. In this case, during the assessment process, we worked very closely with D6, with Cindy Chavez's office, as well as others, to be really thoughtful about the type of engagement that we did have, and we were very careful to make sure we had the right representation, the right mix of demographic, and the right voice, so that we were not, I I would say, blushing over anything. We were ignoring any area, but really wanting to make sure that we had the right representation and the voice there. And I think that we could even do a much more profound job if we were able to come back and do further work. But Mark, if you would speak to kind of what we do in the transformation phase.
Can I, just a second, can I just give you a little more context, Sylvia? Because Cindy and I worked closely with actually Bien and Peter's offices to make sure that we had the neighborhood leaders in those specific areas. So we're targeting the...
I did see the list
okay.
of the 4 pages of leaders at the end of the report. So
Okay, good.
I did see that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the answer in terms of these are frontline folks, but this is a draft that's going to turn into something more concrete. And so as you go through the process, how do you, my question still stands, what is that standardized engagement from the community that we're going to be able to deem appropriate, that it reflects the people who live there? Because there's a lot of communities that get overlooked. I know my particular district, and in Welch community I represented here for a very long time, it was overlooked for a lot of different reasons. One mainly is because there's not a lot of nonprofits in that community to support it. And so there aren't any frontline folks that are going to speak to you about their particular needs and wants and desires. Anyways, go ahead, Mark.
Thank you for that question. You know, when Blue Zones comes into a community for an assessment, which is the phase that we're in right now, really it's around strengths, challenges, and opportunities. When we talk about opportunities, though, I think we have to be very careful in this phase not to become prescriptive around the work that we're going to be doing. So when Blue Zones comes into community for an actual Blue Zones project, which is what this assessment hopefully leads into, we take almost a year. So we take 9 months in what we call the foundation and planning phase. That's when we start to build the team, build the steering committee, build the sector committees, and really do that deep dive oversample of the community to really listen and align with the existing opportunities and priority areas that the community wants to move forward with. And so right now, as we're in this assessment phase, this is just saying, you know, these are some ways that we could go. But as we start to build out the blueprint, which is what we do in our transformation phase, in the foundation and planning phase, that's really where we start to build out those strategic plans in cooperation, collaboration, and collective impact with the community partners. So we don't move forward to say, you know, San Jose needs this. We sit down during that foundation and planning to really listen as we build these plans together. So it's not just us bringing Blue Zones in a box to the community, but it's really building it alongside the community partners.
I appreciate that, and thank you for your answer. And listen, my colleagues who are sitting here on the dais, I absolutely respect them. I've known them for some time, and Supervisor Chavez, obviously, my colleague, and I trust that they obviously would give you the best folks to connect with in our community. That I'm not doubting. I absolutely am very confident that they would connect you with the best folks out there. What I'm asking is, what is your standard engagement process? And so I'm looking at it more technically, and if you want, we can talk about this offline, because I still don't hear how you engage folks. And if you figure you're a million, you know, a city of 1.2 million or 1.3 million, I don't know where we're at this point, what would that reflect and what would that look like? Absolutely, you're talking to the right people, you know, the council members here and the supervisor. Yes, they're absolutely the right people, but I also want to know that the communities that typically get overlooked will not get overlooked. And then what is your standard engagement for a city of our size and the different communities? I want to see like a checklist of folks that you're going to talk to. And then, you know, one of the things that I actually was really impressed with was the food piece that you have here. But you didn't talk about the folks who actually serve the food. And so I thought that was a bit of an oversight, and I know that I am going to be looking at things with the priorities that I have in mind in terms of the food systems. And so there's a lot of, we still have a large agricultural worker community in this county. And there's a lot of folks who come in on an annual basis to live here and on a visa, based on a visa or not. And they live here and they're part of our community. And so I'd like to see those folks, those agricultural workers acknowledged. And I thought that was a bit of an oversight in the food systems.
So I appreciate that comment, and I don't know how familiar you are with the work that we've been leading and partnering on in Monterey County, especially in Salinas and South County there, but we've had a considerable focus on exactly that, the agricultural farm workers, not only in terms of those that are coming in seasonally, but also within the distribution channels, et cetera. And that really gets covered in the work sites portion. So not so much in food where that is focused on policy, but we also look at food when it comes to hospitality, tourism, as well as agriculture in terms of work sites. Here, I don't know, I would have to go back and look at those that led those focus groups, if that was called out explicitly. I know we talked about work sites a lot in terms of work sites directly inside of the city. And I just don't have that in front of me, but we can convene on that afterwards because that is a model that we actually have brought to many communities, not just here in California. Going back to the process and how we would engage and the technicality of how we would engage, when we get to, at the end of this presentation, we'll be showing our kind of initial recommended approach, or actually it's not in this version, but we'll be talking through it. And you'll see that we were very intentional to not overlook communities here in San Jose that we saw from our analysis have been traditionally overlooked. And Jacqueline has called out some of those communities where we saw the greatest amount of disparity and inequities. And our top recommended approach is to actually address those communities first out of the gate. And so I think when we see that level of disparity and inequity, it's very hard to not start there because of just the need to really level up and right some wrongs that are historical in nature within those communities before we can think about really the broader community of San Jose. So we'll get to that in at the end of this presentation. Any other questions before we move to places or?
Thank you. Peter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just really want to appreciate this opportunity to receive this very well-prepared presentation alongside our colleagues at the county level. And I just want to thank Councilmember Davis, Supervisor Chavez for spearheading this work, especially you, Councilmember Davis. I know that you've been a strong advocate for your district, but I'm glad to see that before you leave, you're making sure that you're helping us in District 7 and District 5. So just want to elevate your name. And despite our governments essentially being separate entities, many of our community see us as their public servants. They see us as one, right? And we have the shared goal of reaching and serving our most vulnerable residents. And in order to do so, I truly believe we need to collaborate like this. So just really want to thank whoever set this meeting up to make sure we have a joint hearing on this. Just to talk a little bit about my district as it relates to this presentation, because I see this in real time, every day when I walk outside my house. When you take a drive through my district, and I'm sure probably in District 7 as well, you see direct examples of historic inequities, right? The lack of tree canopy, which I know was a very important cause that Councilmember Crosco championed. Our public safety concerns, whether it's gang-related or connected to robberies. One of our immigrant-owned businesses practically gets robbed at gunpoint almost every other week, and that's serious. We have smoke shops and liquor stores at almost every single corner, and guaranteed in every single shopping center, which is why I introduced a memo a couple weeks back to regulate smoke shops, and definitely want to reach out to Angel to see if we could get an update on that in the future. And then, of course, our parks. Our parks are the worst rated parks in the city. Sometimes they go back and forth with District 7. But, as you can see, if you're a resident in District 5 or District 7, things could look, dismal, right? And then, of course, we're smack dab in the center of a food desert. even though we have McDonald's and Wiener Schnitzel and Jack in the Box literally at every corner as well. So, you know, our residents, everything that you're saying right now, our residents have been demanding for years. They've filled up this City Hall chambers demanding for change in their districts. And I really hope that this Blue Zones project may be the right vehicle to elevate these causes, especially these historical inequities, to be priorities, real priorities with our city, and allow us to focus on them, to have them addressed. Because I truly believe if we have to make sure that our most vulnerable districts have resources, because if not, that's when we get crime. If not, that's when we get illegal activity. And if you don't help people in our district, it's going to impact the residents in other districts. That's just the reality. So I just want to thank the hardworking staff for cultivating this and developing this strategy, and I look forward to voting on this later on in the near future. But I just want to stress that it cannot stop at a plan or a strategy. You know, as I mentioned, a lot of what's being said here, our Latino, our Vietnamese community has known, but how do we take this strategy and make sure staff use it? You know, that it's embraced by both the city and the county. And the reason why I say that is, for example, right, earlier this year, our city allowed a smoke shop to open up right across the street from James Lick High School, right? And we have laws, we have policy against that, right? But that smoke shop then sold products to high school students. I also heard it was marijuana as well, but that's secondhand, so I can neither confirm nor deny. But that's just what the community told me. And then on the other side, a lot of our Latino-owned small businesses, whether it's taquerias, restaurants, shops, they can't even open their business if they don't get every single tedious permit signed off here at the city. They can't develop, a patio or anything unless the big guys at City Hall or the big women at City Hall sign off it, right? Or they get shut down, or they get fined. So I just want to make sure that what we're writing isn't just like a nice presentation to the council. How are we going to do this? Because I doubt, you mentioned you lived in a blue zone. I doubt in that neighborhood they're going to open up a smoke shop across the street from a school. People would be protesting. Unfortunately, for better or for worse, our city looked the other way until I raised it, and still, I think the smoke shop went out of business. We didn't even kick them out. So I just want to stress that and make sure that the community has been wanting this, and I hope that we follow through with it. Thank you so much.
I cannot thank you enough for your comments. I mean, I will tell you, everything that you said, again, to your wise youth commissioners that we met with, shared so many of those aspects that you just spoke to. And when we tie it back to youth, one of the things I think is most striking is they really shared this, and we see it in the data. It's not just them saying it. We see it in the data that on the east side, the loneliness and isolation epidemic that's happening with your youth, not just your seniors, it's happening at the youth level. And it's striking because they attribute it to their built environment, unsafe areas to recreate, not good places to get together with their friends. Why would you want to go eat on the east side when all you have are all these unhealthy options? Kids are so much smarter than we were at their age. They're looking for those outlets. And if we bring it to them, even in as slow paced as we can make it happen, and we hope to make it much faster than that, you are going to change the outlook for those young people. And hopefully you will also help preserve and extend life to the adults that are in that area as well. But everything that you spoke to is having that kind of outcome when you look at where the youth are living today. So I can't thank you enough for sharing that, and it's exactly, when we get to the recommendations, why we approached it out of the gate with this kind of emphasis and focus.
Thank you.
And just layered on that, along with Supervisor Readiness' comment, which I really appreciate on engagement, is that throughout this we saw a layer from having interviews with county supervisors and council members to then leaders of nonprofits and healthcare organizations. We got a lot of data. What blew my mind was when we did the focus group with the police, with the parents, and with the youth cadets who actually told us how they were getting this and what they were seeing. And so the quotes, I encourage you to read that in the report because they're really They're spot on how quickly this changes and how they do want a change. And I just want to read one really quickly. They have their Instagram accounts, their Snapchat accounts, and they'll post, "I have these puff bars, come hit me up." That's it, it's simple. They'll drive to your house for $10. The people will give you puff bars, relinquish all responsibility, and you're 13. Now you're smoking, now you're getting one every week. And these were all from the East Side. So I appreciate you bringing youth cadets to our interviews because it changed the focus a little bit in seeing these scared parents, these frustrated police, and these youth who want a different opportunity in what you saw. So the layers of engagement, I think, were really important in getting that voice, and we are committed to that. Thank you.
Cindy? Use the restroom. Did you do a double hand raise?
Oh, I was just playing with the buttons. I was trying to understand what that was. I was super happy with it. Does double hand mean me?
It does.
Oh, hilarious. Oh, sorry, Bien, and then I'm happy to go after Bien.
Bien, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the incredible report, and thank you, Councilmember Davis, for leading this. And it's too far and too long that, you know, not only District 7 or District 5, even in District 8 and many other pockets that underserved family have been sold this ideology of eating fast food and it's cheaper, it's easier, versus the affordability, having fresh vegetable, fresh fruits, clean living, and you know, with safety. And the cry is out there and has been unheard for many years. And I and Councilmember Ortiz very in line in the way we think about how do we, not only the strategic plan to implement this, and how do we implement it, and what is the key result that we want out of it? Because a lot of time it's true that we talk about a lot of things and we get paralysis by analysis. I prefer action-oriented with key result, right? And I've learned that a lot from being a fire captain. So when I go to someone's house is on fire, and if I don't have a plan, A, B, or C, they won't have a house. If you're having a heart attack, if I don't plan A, B, or C, you won't be living. And I think it's important to make sure that we have, I know that we have the strategic plan, but how do we implement it with the input with all communities? And even though we've done a great outreach, and I think we could do a heck of a lot better and more. Because some of those meetings, yes, sometimes you may get 50 people, but that doesn't represent the 100,000 or you know, the 200,000 or 300,000, 400,000 people that throughout the underserved area. And I think that's just extremely important that we do so. And the inequity has been plagued the city for so many years. And it is time that we make some changes. And I think with your plan, we can take one step at a time, and then we can revise that step to see if it's actually, you know, a good process. If it isn't, we change our direction, and then we move to the next step. And again, I thank you very much for continuing with this, and hopefully we can put some implementation and great key result that we needed right here in the city of San Jose.
Just while Cindy's figuring out her mic, I just want to note for the record that we've been joined by council members Torres and Candelas.
How many supervisors does it take? Okay, so so first of all, I'm really excited we are where we are, and but I actually wanted to raise something that didn't occur to me until I heard both Bien and Peter share an issue or a number of concerns, and that is that in the next phase of planning, if we all decide to move forward, I think an analysis of outside forces that have been impeding our work is probably worthwhile. And what I mean by that is that in the past, when the city, and less so with the county, but in the past when the city has tried to really focus on equity, there has been a reaction more from what I would say previously I would have described as a dominant culture, but I would actually now describe it just as people who are still in power, who don't have shared interests with a number of people on the board here, how they influence it. And I want to give an example. When I served on the city council, myself and a colleague of mine brought forward an initiative that required the full board to hear all new liquor license that were coming forward. And we did it because it appeared to us that it was easier to get a liquor license in one side of town than in another, because the folks would hear about it, they'd freak out, and so it wouldn't happen in the west side of San Jose, but in our communities relatively fast. And what prompted this was when we started to understand more and more that once the liquor license stayed with the land and not the property owner, that we were embedding in process, plans that would be there for generations, which explained a lot of what was happening on the east side. The Mercury News did an editorial or an opinion piece about how having to go through this laborious process of being heard publicly negatively impacted businesses. And this speaks actually to the point, Peter, that you just raised, and Ben, that you raised about how is it that our small mom and pops are still being held up, but these other institutions that have no problem hiring lobbyists and all that were getting through our processes. And so what happened is the council reversed itself and no longer did that. Now, I'm probably in the minority here as I say this, but as it relates to liquor, smoke shops, and even where the placement of cannabis dispensaries are, I'm in the minority still not supporting those being in our community at all, and in part because what we saw right away was a number of children that were being expelled from high school because they were coming to school intoxicated with an intoxicant of one kind or another. So that is all to say that I think as you all move forward, because this will not be something that Deb and I get a chance to participate in, but really better understanding how we deal with those kinds of pressures that are antithetical to the health of the communities that we represent, and having an ability to call them out in the plan so that there's more robust discussion by any elected body that doesn't just get shoved around by, in this case, a newspaper and a writer, literally a writer. So anyway, so I'm raising that more not just as a cautionary tale, but as you're thinking about the implementation plans, having a strategy in advance would have been helpful, because I think, frankly, the council did have small businesses that were really unhappy, and that makes some sense, but but it didn't speed life up for them, right? So we made a change that negatively impacted our communities, but didn't necessarily assist the businesses that all of you represent. So anyway, thank you for letting me pop in with that little history.
Really helpful context, and thank you for sharing that. One thing that I hope happens as you go forward, because the process, we've got lots of questions about process, lots of questions about the engagement. I think there's a really golden opportunity for a group of you from the city, from the county, your other partners who helped support this assessment process and have remained interested and at the table. You have a number of those corporate Adobe, partners, or nonprofit partners, or others that are here and involved and sit on the steering committee for this, to just get in a van and go down and meet some of your colleagues, in city and county and in Monterey. And look at the process that they took. Dig deep into the data. Dig deep into the things that they iterated and innovated on inside of Monterey, and especially Salinas, because Salinas is now crossed their certification, and they've got deep experience and outcomes to share, not only in terms of some of the areas of interest that you're looking at that are related to the Children and Youth Services Master Plan, but the data. And so I think that's really, really important. Similarly, you have another community in Bakersfield, California, that is only a year and a half or so into the process, actually a year and about 4 months. And what they're reporting after only that amount of time is quite remarkable. So I encourage you to maybe send a delegation to either or both cities, engage with those like colleagues in those areas, and really dig deep into the process and how this has worked. But don't only talk to the team members that are there on the ground, please also speak to those that are in the city, in the nonprofits, in the other organizations that are implementing this work alongside. So just that before I turn it over to Mark.
Well, thank you all for really robust conversation, and really appreciate your engagement and your insights that you're sharing with us. This is a special project for me to be a part of. Having been born and raised in Santa Clara County, this is home for me. My dad worked for Santa Clara County Probation Department for over 30 years. My mom was a public school teacher in Santa Clara County School District, San Jose State alum. So this is just a special time for me to be a part of this home project. What I want to share, though, as we look into the opportunities and we start to think about the implementation of this, even though I was born and raised in Santa Clara, I didn't live in San Jose. I grew up in Santa Clara, right next door. But as we look at the operations and the implementation of these projects, it's important to realize that Blue Zones doesn't import people into the communities to implement these projects. Every single person that we hire are local hires. So we're starting with our executive director. So right now I lead 14 projects across all of our Blue Zones communities. I just am launching a big project in Riverside County. For the city of Riverside, I just hired an executive director that was a former city council member. In fact, for the city of Banning, we just hired an executive director that was a city council member and is currently the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. For the city of Palm Springs, I hired the former mayor of Palm Springs as our executive director. These are people that know the community well, that are ingrained in the community, that are embedded in the community. So as we look to, going back to Supervisor Arenas' question, what does engagement look like? We're going to rely on our local team, our local staff, our executive directors who know the community deeply and are engaged in the community deeply to really help set our strategy. So this is not us coming from outside of the community to tell the community what is right and what is wrong. These are community leaders, community members who understand deeply what the challenges and opportunities are. So I think it's really important as we start to frame out these opportunities to frame it from the lens of this is not going to be us from all parts of the country building out this plan. It's going to be locally led, locally driven, people that understand and know the community deeply. One thing that we found in the city of San Jose is that, so across the 14 Blue Zones project communities that I lead, there are, we have very, very rural communities. We have communities like Lake County, Clear Lake. We have communities in Mendocino County, Tuolumne County, very rural communities. And then we have communities in very mature ecosystems like San Jose. Like Margaret had mentioned, Bakersfield, Riverside, Jacksonville, Scottsdale. And what we found is that success is going to look different depending on the level of maturity of the ecosystem that we're coming into. What we found in San Jose is there is an incredibly mature ecosystem of nonprofit organizations, government organizations, educational systems, private employers. And when Blue Zones comes into communities like this with those mature ecosystems, it truly is this jet fuel that galvanizes and brings community partners together and really accelerates work in a very collaborative and collective way. In the smaller communities, it's going to look a lot more like capacity building and leadership development. Here in San Jose, you all have done an incredible job of building up the leaders in your community, and now it's really going to be us really helping to galvanize and bring people together like never before. So we're going to focus on the places work for just a few minutes right now. And in the places work, we talk about restaurants, work sites, grocery stores, and schools. So we look to Blue Zones approve these organizations so that, again, not just in the built environment and the policy areas, but within the organizations, the healthy choices are the easier choices. So I'm going to start with the schools. Like I said, my mom has been a school teacher here in Santa Clara County for over 30 years. This is a place that is near and dear to my heart, but this is also the place that Blue Zones feels is the biggest area of opportunity for us to work here in San Jose. Many of you were part of Jan-Manuel Denev's presentation a few months ago around the World Happiness Report. Soberingly, he presented that the youth of today are rating their happiness at one of the lowest levels of all time, right? We're seeing midlife crises in children that are barely teenagers. And so as we look to where the opportunities are, we have to start with the school systems. We have to start with the youth. If we look at the CYSMP, there's that direct tie-in with the opportunities in the schools. A lot of people feel that Blue Zones is a a diet and exercise company. Well, yes, diet and exercise is important in the Blue Zones communities. Purpose, belonging, and community are the foundation of the work that we do. And so as we go into our schools, we've noticed that there is this vast disconnect between their level of belonging and their sense of purpose. And so as we work with our schools, it's really around the mental health. It's really around the sense of belonging, the sense of purpose, to create that willingness and that desire to live longer, right? So I remember we were at Mayfair Community Center 6-8 months ago, and I remember Victor Vasquez had spoken up, and he said, it's great for us to talk about living longer, but we have youth in our community that don't even know if they're going to live past the age of 25. What does it matter the decisions they make today about their health if they're not even going to live past 25? So really, when Blue Zones looks at living better, longer, the better part is really more important than the longer part, right? We listen to community members in not just districts 5 and 7, but across the city and really across the country right now to say, why would I want to live longer, right? My life right now is hard. My life right now is hectic. I don't want to do 20, 30, 40 more years of this kind of a life. And so if we can start with that hope, if we can start, as Angel said, push that hope, that hope button, if we can start with that to create a sense of purpose in the youth, then they're going to want to, and have the desire to actually see longer lives as opposed to just more of the same. So again, San Jose has a rich history in investing in its youth, and the CYSMP is just another example of the intentionality in the youth investment. Schools in many communities serve as the hub. Schools are the gathering places, not just for the students, but for the families. And parents are empowered and engaged in the success of their students and their children. Obviously, we do see challenges as well. Youth, like never before, are facing immense challenges with their mental health. Teachers are burnt out. Teachers are struggling. How can we not just go into schools and work with the students, but also work with the faculty and the staff to give them that sense of purpose, that sense of support, that sense of well-being? We have opportunities to revitalize wellness committees, to create comprehensive wellness policies, to really intentionalize the work that we do in schools. So it not just becomes a nice to have, but it becomes a policy that's ingrained in the way that we set up our infrastructures at our schools. As we look at our work sites, again, San Jose is known for its work sites, its large employers. We've got some incredible opportunities to work with large employers to really transform the health and well-being of these employees. As you look at the improvements in well-being across work sites, not only do we see higher productivity, not only do we see lower benefits claims costs, not only do we see higher retention, but we also see people that come home from work who are more energized, that are not dragging their feet as they walk through the door. And so as they sit down at the dinner table with their families, they feel like they've got the energy to actually invest. We actually have and obviously there are going to be families that don't have the luxury of sitting down at the dinner table together. So how can we create more spaces where employees have that opportunity to infuse well-being into their work sites, whether it's a large employer, whether it's a small or medium employer as well. I know we've talked in districts 5 and 7 about the families that don't feel like well-being is an opportunity for them. They feel that well-being is a luxury that they can't afford. When you're working 3-4 jobs, how can you afford to downshift? How can you afford to take some time apart to focus on your own health and well-being? We create spaces where people feel like they have, it's not just a luxury, but it's a right. It's an opportunity for you to say, I want to be intentional, even if it's for 5 minutes a day, for 10 minutes a day. How can I really be intentional about focusing on the health and well-being of not just those who can afford it, but those who desperately need it? We talked about the strengths, we talked about the culture of wellness in many organizations, and obviously there's going to be opportunities in every organization to create those cultures of wellness, to create those intentional policies that focus on the health and well-being of the employees. Again, there's so many community resources and networks in this community. And I know that San Jose is very intentional about bringing those community resources together. But in many communities, what we see is that there are hundreds of community-based organizations doing hundreds of really incredible things, but many times going in hundreds of different directions. If we can be the conveners, if we can help to bring community partners together around a table to align on a shared vision and to align on a common goal, that's where the collective impact takes place. This is not going to be a Blue Zones story here in San Jose. This is going to be a City of San Jose story. Blue Zones is only one part of this large ecosystem that's going to bring this community together and to point it in a common direction, and everybody's going to be on the same page together. As we look at their work sites, obviously remote work and hybrid work is becoming a challenge. How can you engage a remote workforce to still be able to find connection and meaning and belonging when everyone is sitting and working from their own living rooms? And so how can we work with our organizations on creating those intentional strategies? Restaurants. Like Jacqueline says, I mean, San Jose has such an amazing, diverse food scene. We are not going to come into San Jose and insist that every taqueria becomes a vegan cafe. We are not going to do that. That's not the purpose of Blue Zones. The purpose of Blue Zones is to say, how can we take the existing ingredients that you already have in your kitchens? How can we look to say, here, you already have access to these resources, and let's work together to create options, menu options, and items that taste good and are culturally relevant to your organization, but also create opportunities where people still have healthier choices, And we work with them to say, through this, we've seen countless restaurants say that their point of sales have actually increased as they increase the menu options. Some people where one person in the family may be a meat eater and someone else is a vegetarian or vegan, they're going to make it easier for them to all go to the same restaurant. How can we work with our food systems, like Jacqueline was talking about, to provide access to healthier options for restaurants, for small restaurants? How can they get the same resources available to them that the large restaurants have as well? So again, the food is a large part of the culture of San Jose, and it's a place where we're not here to change that culture, but just to enhance it. Grocery stores as well. We look at the opportunities at the grocery stores, and it's not just these big box grocery stores. It's the corner markets, the mercado rincons, the ones that people don't have access to get to. The Safeways, in their communities. And so as we look to the corner market strategies, how can we, again, work with these small markets to create opportunities for them to have easier access to healthier food options? And so we work with engaging our community members to say, here are the resources that you have in your local markets. Here are some some recipes that we've curated to work alongside of you. These are culturally relevant recipes that taste good, that are healthy for you. And by the way, here's the shopping list. A $7 meal for 4 people is cheaper than a $5 value meal at McDonald's, right? And so we work with our communities to say, not only are these available, but here's how you can access them at a more easier and readily available spaces. So again, restaurants, work sites, grocery stores, schools, we don't just work with the community members, but with the community organizations to make healthy choices easier, to create that life radius model where people have opportunities within this life radius to make healthier choices. I'm going to pause there and open up again for any discussions.
Thank you, Mark. I will only add to what he said. We have seen where working with small retailers and communities like the east side of San Jose have been very successful at changing not just the availability of food, but actually bringing people together around that food as well. There's so many great ways that once you get a market kind of embracing that trajectory, that all of a sudden you have youth coming in, you have folks coming in and buying food, sharing, spending time with one another. It becomes then a hub of activity, and then those same people can be at the farmers market. They can be invited to events. They begin to show up for the community in a different way, and it's a really powerful way of changing the perception of an individual's community. And so I just wanted to highlight that, that where we've seen that work really well. But we'll take questions now on places, the place-based kind of approach where we're trying to target everywhere people spend their time in a given day. Any questions on that area?
Thank you. Supervisor Readiness, I almost just called you Councilmember Readiness. That's why I'm saying first names today. Sorry, Sylvia.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I almost called you Councilmember Readiness. Sylvia.
Oh,
go ahead.
She said she's
Speak.
just going to call us by our first names so she doesn't confuse what our titles are.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I do that all the time.
you can call me anything as long as you call me next.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the schools. I appreciate your feedback here. I do appreciate that you grew up in Santa Clara County. I grew up in San Jose. I'm native, born and raised, and I did grow up in the east side. And so a lot of the issues that people in the east side are dealing with when I was growing up are still some of the issues they're dealing with now, right? Because it's cyclical, because we haven't broken those cycles of violence and poverty. These are all root causes. And so when we talk about mental health, I really would love for you to have a strength-based approach about our youth and what they are. I'm just going to say it. I thought it was reductive for you to say that our kids want to die. They want reasons to live. Even if their environment is very limited, we have to make sure that we give them reasons to live. And our parents are working really hard to do that. And this is something that I shared with my colleague, Supervisor Chavez, on the dais, is that I went to back to school night with my son, and we were in this one class, and there was only 2 parents there because it's at the end of the classes, so most people had left. And this mom said, "How is my son doing? He better be doing good. He better blah, blah, blah," right? Like a mom should, because she's taking care of business. She's working a couple of jobs. She's holding on by a thread. And she said, "You know what? If my son his grades start dropping, I have to leave this county. I have to leave this city. I can't live here anymore. I'm doing this because I want my son to be able to graduate from the school that he started in." There's beauty and energy and power in our community in terms of what they do and the sacrifices they make to make sure that our kids live and play and are able to get educated here. And so I really need you to be careful about how you phrase that. One, because it could be condescending and very reductive. Are our kids in a mental health crisis just like everybody else is post-pandemic? Absolutely. And some of my colleagues have called a mental health crisis a couple of years ago, and it's a focus of ours. We are the safety net. We are trying to address some of those root causes. And while I was a council member here, I did work with my council colleagues, including Councilmember Davis and Angel Rios, to make sure that we had funding for the Child and Youth Master Plan. And that Child and Youth Master Plan was because I wanted to make sure that we had a system that could traverse different other systems, because the city of San Jose doesn't have all the answers, that we rely on other partners, and that's why we're here, right? And so anyways, the other thing that I'm going to mention is about the grocery stores. There are a lot of grocery stores, and you might want to spend some time throughout our city getting to know our city. Because when I walk into some of our ethnic-based stores, whether it's Latino or Asian, they have a plethora of vegetables. In South County, we have farmers who are growing Asian-based vegetables and making it accessible to our people here. And so there's a lot of really good that's already happening within our groceries. So I think that you also need to recognize them when you provide stories. Build some stories around some of the strengths that our community actually has, because otherwise like I said, it's disheartening. And I know that what you're hoping to do with the 9, I think you call them power traits, right? So that we can live longer, happier lives. And I'm all for that. And I want that for our community. Now, how we get there is a question of making sure that our systems are working together, and the policy that's going to lead us is going to take us there. And I get why, the Children and Youth Master Plan is mentioned quite a few times in here. But there's already really good work that's being done by Angel Rios, by our council members who are sitting here, who are continuing that work for the Child and Youth Master Plan. And then there's, my colleague is just finishing up 12 years of service where children and families were her focus. And there's a lot of really good work that's already in place, and I don't see that recognized here. The other thing is, I don't see displacement. And either I can talk about this anti-displacement strategies. I know you said you weren't going to include housing in this, and so I can speak to it now, or I can speak to it later, whatever the chair would like for me to do.
So there is a little bit in the report, but there's been some feedback from Destination Home about adding more in there. So if you want to add some comments offline about that, it will be added in the final report.
In the final report. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, listen, I'll make my comments now then as well, so they could be on the record. One of the things that we make sure that we don't inadvertently have is we create this dynamic where we have a blue zone and we're attracting people who want to be in a blue zone, and then we displace our very families that we're hoping can stay with us, right? So we need to make sure that there's policy work for anti-displacement, that we make sure that we speak to it and we connect it with the rest of these other areas in terms of work, because it's not just a housing crisis issue. It is lack of the pay catching up with the cost of living here. The truth is that there is corporate lack of responsibility, and we don't speak about that. So I look forward to seeing that section really developed, but I also want to make sure that what you have in there are policies that fall within what my colleagues are doing at the city level, what we're doing at the county level. And I saw a bit about the adoption of SB 10, which I know is not something that this council has embraced completely, nor everyone in our community. And so it is not congruent with policy, I would say, unless my colleagues are going to tell me something different and that they're all behind SB 10. So anyway, so that's, you will always get a lot of very transparent, very honest conversation from me. So if you involve me, this is the kind of feedback you can expect, because I take this very seriously. We're working on breaking cycles of abuse and poverty, and making sure that our brown and black children don't fall into the juvenile justice system. And I know you mentioned that, Mark, but there's a lot of really good work already taking place, and I don't want that to get overlooked simply by just glossing over it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We always welcome transparent and direct feedback, and we appreciate you providing that. Just a couple of things. I just want to be clear, any stories that we highlight are stories that we heard, directly from the community, and we're reiterating that, and we'll be careful about the phrasing of that, but certainly did not mean any disrespect in those terms. And we are most certainly focused on addressing more in the housing realm, and you'll see those updates. Just a reminder that the report that you have in front of you for review, since that first draft came out, we have had subsequent interviews, conversations that, as a result of that, where we've done an excellent planning process, we engaged with stakeholders, but there's still always more to engage with, and so some of those follow-up final versions that come in the report are not only a result of feedback from the steering committee that was assembled to help guide this work, but also this process with you all here today. So we welcome, if there's comments that you want to email to our team afterwards to be even more precise in the ways that you have been, we'll welcome that, and we will also look back at our notes and see where this information has also been gleaned, and that we can bring in additional examples of anything that we heard directly from the community that aligns with any feedback that you've provided.
I appreciate that, and I'm going to give you another story that's related to the food. My son is also part of a sports team at his local school, and the team mom took it upon herself to have other people contribute food before the games or before the practices, and this all because she understood that there's a couple of kids who were unhoused, and she wouldn't know whether they were going to receive proper nutrition before excelling in their sport of choice, right? And so this is how this is the strength of the community. It's also a challenge, obviously, but that's the beauty of the people who live here, right? That we take care of one another. And so the other part of the advice that I'd like to have you take into account is that when we talk about food preparation and having nutritious food available to us, we also need to make sure that we recognize how people are living. They're living in one room, multiple families, and they don't have access to a stove necessarily. And if mom and dad are working, or if it's just one parent, that kiddo, guess what? That kiddo's irresponsible for themselves. And so how are we teaching our kiddos to cook properly or to get creative and engage in our schools within that? So I just want to make sure that how the narrative is complete in terms of who our community is. And I appreciate that you are listening and that you're taking this into account, and that we can have further conversations offline.
Thank you for that. I will say we are just doing a time check. We are at 11:24 and going until noon. And so I'm going to ask Mark if he will go through people, and then we're going to just talk to, because they're not reflected in these slides we have today, some of the approaches and models that we have discussed, and then we'll take some final question and discussion.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Readiness. Really appreciate the feedback, and it's important for us to understand the opportunities that we have as we continue to refine our approach here in San Jose. One thing I'll say is, as we looked at the well-being drivers of the city of San Jose, we saw a tremendous amount of resilience in this community as well. Even if you look at all of the districts here in San Jose, the life expectancy of every area is actually higher than it is across the nation. And so I think in spite of the challenges that are there, and in spite of the realities of life, there's just this sense of resilience, this sense of grit, and I think it's just a real testament to the strength and the power that is here in the city of San Jose. As we look at the people, this again, going back to what I had said earlier, the real foundation of Blue Zones is belonging, it's community, it's purpose. And so as we look at the engagement side of this, so people, places, and policy on the people side, our goal is to engage with 15%. So as we go into communities, our goal is to engage in at least 15% of the entire population of a community that we work within, to really create that sense of purpose, that sense of belonging, create opportunities for them through volunteer activities, through outreach activities for them, not only to find their purpose, but actually to live out their purpose. So this is really where the people side comes in. We looked at also the faith and civic communities. We see that San Jose has a robust and active faith and civic sector. We were very impressed with the level of coordination, collaboration among our faith communities. These are also centers of influence. We talked about the schools being centers of influence, and also we're seeing that in the churches as well. And San Jose has a strong spirit of volunteerism as we look to see, what are some of those potential drivers of the resilience. I think it's just that sense of responsibility that everybody has towards their community collectively. Some opportunities that we see are utilizing these existing resources, like our faith organizations, like our community partners, to provide them with some tools and resources that integrate some of these Blue Zones principles that we bring in. So if a faith organization already has gathering moments and times for communities to come together, how can we utilize the collective impact of that gathering to provide churches or faith organizations tools and resources to integrate some Blue Zones principles or practices into their gathering spaces? Faith organizations have, a lot of times they'll have fellowship halls, as they'll call it, or these community centers. And so how can we utilize those spaces to bring community partners together, to bring community members together in a space that already has the trust and the connections within the community, and then use our local faith community partners to equip them with information and resources to then begin to share with their community members, their parishioners. Oh, I think that's it then.
Yeah, I would say too, one of the things that we called out in the report is there's already great intergenerational connectivity in the communities, but there's really an opportunity to even strengthen that further around things that are focused on health and well-being. So, some of the hallmark programs of Blue Zones are things like creating MOIs, opportunities for people to come together and explore new healthy behavior together with people you may know and maybe people you don't know. That could look like taking a walk or having a potluck or sitting down and having a cup of coffee, but being committed to do that over an extended period of time to build those conversations and connections, and really how do we make that even more intergenerational to really foster a deep sense of commitment to the community and belonging. In terms of closing remarks, a couple of things that I want to speak to is we have put together some initial models based on the conversations that we've had to date. It's not an accident that we keep referencing the Children and Youth Services Master Plan. This initiative was born out of, and Blue Zones was requested to come and partner with the City of San Jose and the other partners to do this assessment process because of the CYSMP having been developed in these demonstration sites in that plan being called out. So when we started our assessment, we overlaid a lot of our intentional focus, conversations, et cetera, on those demonstration sites that happen to be in District 5 and 7. As a result, and let me back up, we did also look at some things citywide. We looked at citywide policy, we looked at citywide gathering, engagement, opportunities, and citywide schools at the highest level of leadership across your school district. And we came away with 2 potential models for partnership with Blue Zones. And this is not fully baked. This also has room for your input, suggestions, thought, partnership on. The first one being a focused, what we call full life radius in the 3 zip codes that are District 5 and 7. What does that look like? Hiring a team. We estimate that we would need a local team of about 9 full-time equivalents to lead the work of people, places, and policy happening all at once. When we do a project, it's not selecting maybe 1 or 2 things or one area. It's doing people, places, and policy all at the same time. So we would have 9 people, individuals hired from the community to lead this work in those areas. At the same time, recognizing that there are some policies that can only be addressed by a broader focus at the city level. So there are some policies in which we would be looking for support and partnership from the city to drive that change so that it would be most directly impacting those districts that need it the most. Schools also, we would be looking to deploy schools and make it available to all schools within the city of San Jose. So when we think about schools, the toolkits, the evidence-based best practices, the support to integrate these initiatives within the 4 walls of their school, but really focusing in on the schools within the district. Out of the gate, they would be our priority and focus to bring them up to Blue Zones approved. It is not, of course, mandatory. We're not mandating anything, but inviting them to participate. And as a project goes along, we typically always have the early adopters that really are excited and want to do this, and then it takes some others some time to build that trust and want to do that work. But the goal is that over 4 years, 5 years and 9 months, that we would get to a tipping point, which for schools is roughly 50% of all the schools, but in many communities we achieve much higher than that. So that is, brief overview of the first and our top recommended approach. Of course, there will be others that really want to know what would Blue Zones look like for the entire city of San Jose. We have scoped that out. We really haven't wanted to put that forward as our recommended approach for the key reasons that we've already discussed today. We feel like going to a full citywide Blue Zones project would actually dilute the impact and the support within the key districts, because that has tended to be how some things have turned out in other communities, that when you go full citywide, for example, you get a lot of energy from the well-resourced areas, the areas with people with lots of agency, they're ready to adopt it, they're full on, and then the support for the communities that need it most tends to fall to the back burner. That's just the way it is. And so we really want to be intentional to drive focus and support to those communities that need it the most. The next thing I want to just discuss quickly is measurement and how do we measure impact. I know that our team has shared this along the way, and if you haven't seen it, we're happy to share more detail around this. But we leverage something called the Gallup Wellbeing Index. It's administered by a third party. It is a survey, but it's a tool that has immense value in that we are able to, at baseline, implement the survey. We've had very good success in implementing this process with very diverse communities, and still able to drive engagement and participation so that we can understand where we're starting at baseline. What is the level of well-being across 5 different domains of well-being when we're starting the work? From that, the community that we are looking to partner with in districts 5 and 7 would select, together with their leadership and others at the table, the metrics that are most interest to them. Things like, physical well-being, purpose, community social connectedness, perception of safety, things like this that are embedded into the community well-being index. That's one set of metrics. We would repeat that process of oversampling throughout the course of the project at least every other year. And then the community would also select a number of what are called community selected metrics. These are the community's metrics that are most important to them. They can be very broad ranging. We've had communities that have selected metrics such as reduction in violence, increase in high school graduation rates, but we've also had communities select things like reduction in obesity, increase in active movement, reduction in teenage pregnancy, reduction in rental property turnovers and water cutoffs due to inability to pay the bill. Truly, those metrics are very wide-ranging. And the idea behind that, you're selecting metrics that are aligned to the goals of the impact that you want to have. How are we going to measure it? And we're going to follow those metrics year on year. Every year, we're looking at the metrics. And as soon as something is not working, we're making a course correction to get on track to make sure that we're going to have the intended outcome. And I know that the big question is, okay, well, how much is it going to cost? And we get asked that a lot. What is the investment? We are putting some final figures together, but really want to think about the model first and then back into the resourcing of that plan. But I will tell you that whatever that final model is and the investment required is, Blue Zones place 25% of those fees at risk, which means if we're not hitting the targets and the outcomes that are of interest to the community, 25% of those fees will not be paid for our services. So that means that from the very beginning, we're hiring a team that we believe are very qualified and connected and are experts in your community. We're putting on them and working with them to create strategic plans so that we can ensure that the action plans that they're taking on every single day as part of their work are advancing the goals that were set by your community. And every year we do a performance evaluation, not only on what we did to support that individual, but also what we've been able to achieve with support of that individual in the community. And if we are not hitting those metrics, that's 25% of the fees that are immediately taken and discounted from those total costs. I can't say enough about the measurement, but there's so much more to dig in there. And again, if you get a chance to visit any of these other communities, such as Bakersfield or Salinas and Monterey, I highly encourage you to look at their metrics and look at their community selected metrics, because I think it tells a very powerful story of how the work is advancing some of those goals that they had at the very beginning. With that, I'll turn it back to questions. Any final comments, discussion in our final 20 minutes?
Thank you. I want to thank the entire team for, and not just the three of you, but the entire team who put the report together and came out and spent a week with us in community and did all kinds of tours, walking tours, driving tours, and all the focus groups that you did. I also want to thank my staff as well as Supervisor Chavez's staff, because I know they've worked months and months with you and Laura Buzo and Katarina from the city manager's office and now Parks, as well as Peter Hamilton for all that they've done to help us put this together and coordinate between the city and the county, because it's not something we're used to doing, and it is something really with the Children and Youth Services Master Plan that we're going to have to do more. So this is kind of like dry run for us to figure out how we're going to work together and just in coordinating these meetings and that week in community. Before I go back to my colleagues, though, I want to check and see if we have any public comment.
We have no public comment.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Ortiz.
I just wanted to follow up in regards to your comments regarding schools. You know, schools play a major role in this equation, you know, having been a school board member. And then, of course, the history of, you know, California and how we fund the schools based off of property taxes, which essentially means if you live in a low income, low resourced area, you're going to have under-resourced, lower performing schools. So, of course, that's, you know, school board members are trying to solve that issue all over. I don't think we're going to solve that with blue zones, but you know, definitely want to make sure we have time to meet with the new superintendent from Alum Rock, Herman Cerda, I think his name is. I haven't met with him yet, but obviously Alum Rock's a major piece of the equation, and I'm hoping that with new leadership, we could build a better and stronger partnership. But definitely, maybe we could set up a joint meeting between us. Thank you.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Appreciate that. Cindy?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Sylvia was saying by the end of the meeting we'd get it, but I didn't. So there you go. You know, first of all, Deb, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the leadership you played in get all the work that you did to get us where we are today, because so much work has been done. And also just really appreciate that your willingness to not think about this district by district, but really by need. And that is really the root of equity, is thinking about the world that way. I have some recommendations, and really this is more for our staff to think about, and some of this has occurred to me just listening to the presentation today. You know, the county and the city have had a mixed bag of our ability to work together. And we've had big success, I think, really in working on our youth and in support of our youth for a lot of different reasons, and probably both cultural to both organizations. One thing I'd be really interested in understanding from the city's perspective and the county staff perspective is the following. Much of what got presented to us, I would put in the category of do more and do it faster. And there were a couple of ideas that are really new, but most of them the community's been telling us for a really long time, and they're just saying, you know, move it, make it happen. And so one question I have with our staffs is, as we look at the opportunities for joint policy work, in addition to YAY, I think the food systems work is another area. I actually think housing and the issue around displacement is another area where we're investing significant resources and actually already collaborating together. And back to, and actually Sylvia, it was your point that made me think of this, because you were talking about how important it is to be strength-based. And so you're right, like where do we already have infrastructure? And to be really candid with you, both institutions, you know, we never have enough money to do anything, we think, until we decide it's important. And so, and again, I'm reflecting on the thoughtful comments that you made about mental health. And the fact of the matter is that our schools, particularly, I mean all over, but our schools on the east side in particular, have been asking for more resources for mental health support services specifically for high schools, right? I know the Eastside Union High School District is really struggling right now. So in any case, what does all that mean? What it means is I'd be interested in where are we already working together, where are we jointly investing together, and where do we have senior staff from both institutions that are playing leadership roles? Like, who are the leaders in all of this and crosswalk that for us. Because I think, colleagues, that would be the way to best understand how properly to partner with Blue Zones. I think what Blue Zones has offered us is a more robust set of more robust scientific framework for thinking about success in terms of our communities. And to be honest with you, I think the fact that so many of their slides said, yeah, you're doing all this already, do more, do it faster, tells me that a lot of the foundational work's already in place, again, reflecting, Sylvia, on your point. But if we could get that report from you all, I think it would help us better understand what's that tripartite partnership look like, and what can we concretely expect to be able to move, frankly, at a faster clip than we're doing now, if in fact we're not fighting, but we have the same work plan in place, and frankly, the same dates for success that you all will hold the staff accountable to, and you will hold the staff accountable to on the county side. But what's core is where we're already working together, where we're already spending money together, where we're already having success together, and where we have the appropriate level of leadership from each of our institutions. And then lastly, you know, one thing that we didn't really acknowledge, and we have to, is that relative to the size of our city, we do not have the kind of investment from the private sector that most cities our size do. And that's important because I remember when Deb brought Blue Zones, I was like, really, we're gonna, you know, she was talking about all the investments that have been made in other parts of the country, and I was thinking about how many times we've reached out to the private sector here, and we do not have that same culture. And I'm gonna give you just one example. We're one of the only major municipalities in the country that do not have a history museum that is invested in by even the older families that made money off their communities. And I mean, that's a small example, but what we also know from research is that our lower income communities here give a higher percentage of their income to charity than the top earners in our community, right? So all that is to say that there are also some other opportunities that the county and the city could work together in terms of leveraging resources from partners that I don't think we've done together, and therefore not as aggressively as we probably should have. And then my last comment is, and this goes back to this issue around displacement, Saul from Somos Mayfair made this really powerful comment, and it has been ringing in my ears for a couple months now, where he was talking about how often we describe the East Side as, you know, get out if you can, and now we're trying to keep people in, right? And so I can't say with enough urgency, this issue around displacement is almost like us building a house during an earthquake. So we don't have a choice but to prioritize that issue as part of this body of work. So anyway, I'm very excited and really appreciate the attention my colleagues have all spent, not just prepping for the meeting, but just your attentiveness here. And again, you know, no pressure to Peter and Bien, but I really do think that if we can solve these challenges in the districts that you represent, frankly, in part of 5 and part of 8, we really are going to be in a much different place, you know, 3 or 5 years from now than we are today under all of your leadership, and Sylvia, your leadership going forward. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I just want to pull out something about what Mark said about the purpose, belonging, and community being the real drivers for people, for their quality of life. I think our job, as I see it anyway, is to put the policies and the services in place, and that requires us to work together to enable those possibilities for people to make connections that they need to develop their purpose, belonging, and really feel really feel that sense of community. And for us at the city, that's focusing in on safety and built environment, and then those other foundations that you all have been talking about over at the county to really make our community a place where they have places to go to build those connections, and they have both the reason to leave their home and to go out into the community, but also the safety to feel like they can do that and feel that this community is for them. So I think it's really important for us to co-develop those outcomes and to figure out kind of who does what. So I appreciate your request there for the city and the county staff to figure out kind of where we're working together, what monies we're already spending on our joint efforts, and what successes we've had, and really kind of to bring that to bear for both the council and the county to kind of as a starting point as this process moves from assessment phase to the next phase, which is not implementation, it's planning. Am I right?
Planning is the first part of implementation.
Okay.
So once you've said, yes, we're doing this, the very first phase is about a 9-month foundation and planning. And it is really that opportunity to, one, measure, establish where you're starting from, do much deeper engagement. So as we've said, you can only learn so much in the amount of time that we've had, but there really is an opportunity to have things like housing summits. I think that's one of the recommended opportunities actually in this. And, in the conversations that we've had around housing, even though there's been great things in place and developed to help with affordable housing, there's still issues and barriers to even staying in what's been labeled affordable housing. So there has to be done more. And to that exact point, to prevent displacement. All of those things can begin to be addressed through a housing summit where you bring in subject matter experts from around the country where people are doing this in other areas and help to identify those priority areas and the actions that need to be taken to move that ball forward. And so that happens, those kinds and that level of detail and additional info gathering and decision making happens in that foundation and planning period, which is a roughly 9-month period of time before you have a work plan or what we call a blueprint that has all of the metrics, measures, et cetera, and then you set forth with the team, the clock is ticking, we're going to make impact, and you go forward for the additional 5 years of implementing that every day.
Thank you. And one of the things I think is really powerful about this model is that we always talk about the policy at our level, and what Blue Zones brings in is a focused group of people who are basically working on engagement and doing not just the people. I think we do sort of people outreach, but we don't do places outreach. We don't look at work sites. We don't talk to faith-based groups, schools. We don't do enough of that anyway. I know there's been some of that, but in terms of kind of the more holistic engagement, and I think that is really, to me, that's the thing that is really powerful when you're talking about community transformation or systems transformation. It's making all of those levels. It's outreach to all of those levels at the same time, which I think is so powerful. So anyway, you all know I'm excited about this, but I just wanted to pull out a couple of things that I think we haven't really focused on. And even though you're telling us things we already know, and the community has been asking for these things for a long time, it's the approach that I think we haven't tried that is so compelling to me. Sylvia?
One more time. All right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you moving this forward, Councilmember Davis, because I think this is really important, not only to our communities, but to our systems, so that we can work more effectively, more efficiently with one another, to really accomplish what you've said is like longer, happier, healthier lives for all of our communities. And this is really personal to me. I find this, and you said this, and I was going to actually use this word before you even said it. So it was like, oh, we're on the same page. This is fascinating to me. It is absolutely fascinating to me, and I'll tell you why. Because the folks that are the focus of this are mainly working class families, right? Families who are struggling. And those families really use their physical body, because they do a lot of physical work, right? Waitressing, construction, etc. And because of that, they don't look at their health in ways that are maybe long-term. And I've shared this before. My parents are an example of that. My mom died 6 months after I got married. My dad a couple of years after that. So they never met my children, and that generation in terms of wisdom wasn't ever transferred and given, and the benefit of having that network wasn't there. And so when you talk about having longer, happier, healthier lives, that really speaks to me. Now, it just needs to make sense in other ways, and that's why I gave you the feedback that I gave you. If I didn't think this was important, I wouldn't have given you the feedback, right? It's easy just to sit in a committee and thank people, and then that's it. But I'm interested in making sure that we have a generational change, especially for our Black and Brown community. And so one of the things that I'm going to recommend is you take a look. We have a Latino health assessment that I asked for that is culminating. We also have one for African American and for our Vietnamese community that Supervisor Chavez initiated. And so there's a lot of really good information already there, and I think it makes a lot of sense to have our public health involved in a meaningful way. Sorry, public health. I'm getting you all in. Oh, okay, great. And I think in a way that can really bring all of our systems on the county side together, because they're doing that in the Latino health assessment. They're doing something really different that most health assessments don't do, and that is they're taking kind of an inventory of services that Latinos are using or underutilizing, because that tells us a story just the same, right? And then they're also completed already the traditional health assessment portion of that. And so you have some additional information there that typically you wouldn't get in other kinds of assessments, but I know there's a lot of really good work from other folks who are taking a look at our communities and finding really strength-based ways in elevating who they are and bringing them along. And you know, there's programs like our promotoras that people have grown that, I mean, it's just transformational in terms of how people find themselves, redefine their roles in their own community, and then also bring in others. And so I find this fascinating, like I said, because I want to make sure that our communities live longer, are happier, but that they're also here. And so we can't overlook that. And so I'm really grateful that you're listening, that you're incorporating some of my concerns or some of my feedback. And I look forward to working with you all on how this all plays out. And lastly, I just want to thank you, Councilmember Davis, for bringing this forward. I know that this is tremendous in terms of this framework that you're bringing in, and you know, it takes some time to grasp it and to figure it out. I'm not going to say that I know all of it and I'm like, yeah, this is what it is, but it's absolutely fascinating. And I also want to thank my my colleague, Supervisor Chavez, because I know you've done a tremendous amount of work to also bring us, the county, along with Councilmember Davis, and point to sometimes we have had some issues working together, but we really have overarching goals that we both want to achieve for our children and our families, and I'm just really absolutely grateful to both of you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Readiness. I do want to make sure that all my colleagues know kind of the way that we've set this up with ongoing feedback. It wasn't just the week in the community. We had a steering committee, and I I don't even know how many people were on the steering committee, but that included members of public health, as well as the Santa Clara Family Health Plan, Adobe, city staff, all of our funding partners. So the Health Trust, Sobrato came. We had Knight Foundation actually just last Friday join our steering committee meeting, and as well as Somos Mayfair, and I know I'm forgetting some, but I just want you all to know that we didn't just engage the community once for that week that the Blue Zones team was here, kind of driving around and walking around and doing focus groups, but we've had the steering committee. Darcy Green is also a key member of the steering committee to provide feedback as we've gone along, and to provide some more of that deeper knowledge of our community. And the Latino health assessment is something that the Blue Zones folks know is happening, and they're in conversation with Rhonda really deeply about that, and hope to incorporate that. If not in this part of the assessment, they will definitely be part of the information as we do the foundation and planning work. I want to call on Councilmember Candelas. I know we're running out of time.
Don't worry, you know how my comments are always long-winded, so for just two things. I wanted to just quickly apologize. We were actually at a press conference for the Health and Human Secretary, was here at San Jose State providing an investment for the ARPA-H funding, which is a health initiative to have our historically underrepresented communities participate in moving our health systems forward. And so my apologies, but the second thing I wanted to do was just take a moment to publicly thank both our chairwoman for the NSE committee, Councilwoman Davis, for her leadership on not just Blue Zones, but the process for including this into our Children and Youth Services Master Plan, as well as the chairwoman for the Santa Clara County Children, Senior, and Families Committee. Yeah. So Supervisor Chavez, thank you for your leadership and the work that you've done, not just here in San Jose, but with the county. And it's specifically important for me because parts of my district, yes, include the hardest hit area during COVID with the most deaths, 95122, and at the same time, I have one of the wealthiest zip codes in the entire county with 95138. And having such a diverse, both economically and financially, and all these diverse neighborhoods, but having an important conversation how we create a system for everybody to be stronger together, whether it's our communities that need the most attention, and while not forgetting the other community who also has, there's poor people throughout our county and our neighborhood, and finding that representation for everybody is just as key. And I look forward to the work ahead and to tackling the challenges that our colleagues have been tackling for decades. So thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank all the members of the committee, both committees, for the great discussion today. And I think this focusing in on the pilot areas and the 3 zip codes is really the way for us to figure out how we can best reach the underserved communities wherever they are in the city, and focusing in on those pilot areas that were identified by the Children and Youth Services Master Plan really gives us an opportunity to figure out what it takes, and to have a real discussion about what it will take and what it does take to do that throughout the entire city. So I just want to give that feedback, and I think we didn't hear anyone calling for community-wide, city-wide today, so I think that's shared amongst my colleagues. But I just wanted to call that out, that I think when we do the recommendations to the full council and the full board, that we should really focus in on the 3 zip codes. I'm seeing some heads nodding, so that's good. We actually do need to have motions today so that we can not only accept the report, and of course, I know you've taken a lot of feedback, so it will be to accept the report with the comments that you've heard today, but also to cross-reference it to both the City Council and the Board of Supervisors on October 22nd. So I'll take our motion first, and then I'll turn it over to Cindy to do the motion for the county.
Move to accept the report with reference to the county on what date?
The county and the city on October 22nd.
October 22nd. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right, for the council, do you want to just we can just do a voice vote? Okay, so for the council, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good, that motion carries unanimously, and I'll turn it over to Cindy for her motion.
Thank you. I will move that we receive the report and that this is heard at the Board of Supervisors on October 22nd also. And that is my motion.
Second.
That'll be Vice Chairperson Arenas
Yes.
and Chairperson Chavez.
Yes, and
Motion
we do it by
carries.
voice so nobody's confused with the two of us. There you go. It's a weird tradition, but we have it.
That's great. All right, thank you so much, and we will see you again on October 22nd in our respective chambers. I know we're going to have to figure out timing for that, and we have our wonderful staffs to help us figure out when you're going to be presenting at each one. But with that, our joint meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you.